and then eventually came back to Nigeria. So when they came back to Nigeria, the manager said, Kaka said, he walked away. He just felt that, yes, guy, it was too much. In Nigeria, he has witnessed the fight between Natasha and Two-Face before, and that Two-Face is innocent, according to his name, innocent. That Two-Face is innocent, that the wife, Natasha, is the perpetrator, is one who starts it, that Two-Face is always on the calm side, and so that's the story that the former manager narrated, and he said a lot of things and all that. Then Two-Face tried to go into the life. Then we saw the clip what transpired. I really feel for Two-Face. Honestly, Two-Face is a legend, a music legend, a music talent. He has been in the music industry for years and years, and he has been consistent in delivering. He has a voice, he has charisma, he has all the attributes of a great musician. But then you could tell that his was a troubled life. His was a troubled life. And from time to time you hear a glimpse of how troubled things are. During the life today, in Daddy Free's life, there were allegations of substance use, that both Two-Face and the wife abuses substances. The allegations of them owing money. Of course, if you have a habit or an addiction that will cost you owe people money. There are people who paid money for certain things to be done. The money another thing they said, that Natasha has access to Two-Face finances. So when money is sent to his account, she has a way of entering his account and withdrawing the money from Two-Face account. And so there are times that Two-Face will not see the money, and so he will not go and do the contract because he feels he has not been paid. Whereas the money was paid, there's a wife that has taken out the money and has used the money. So that's really quite disturbing. What was obvious from when Two-Face tried to enter the life was that this is domestic abuse, and it appears, going by the testimony of these former guys that were managing Two-Face before, that the wife is the perpetrator, while Two-Face is the victim. And that's very sad. Domestic abuse is something that I've seen victims of domestic abuse. I've treated some in the hospital with physical injuries. Then it's such a complex issue. It's complex. You will be treating a victim of domestic violence. You know that the injuries the person has is from an altercation at home with the spouse and all that. Then no matter the injuries the person has, and you try to tell them, if this relationship you are in, this marriage, this union, if it's causing a lot of this harm to you, why not leave? And then even when they leave, after a while, as it so happens, they go back into that abusive relationship. And then you will now realize, This relationship between the perpetrator, an abuser, and the victim, that relationship, sometimes I think it becomes like Stockholm syndrome, where somebody who is a victim becomes more attached to the perpetrator. That's one. Then there is this complex dynamics where the perpetrator, the abuser, subjugates the victim. It conditions the victim to think that there is no way out. You are under me. I'm the one in charge. I'm the one in control. And it's only when the victim reports first. It's only when the victim reports it to the authorities that any action can be taken. And only when the victim is willing to press charges. It's only when the victim chooses to end the relationship, to leave. So the actions that has to be taken are that of the victim. And if the victim is not in the right frame of mind, if the mind of the victim is altered, has been alleged, then it becomes difficult for that victim to make that decision. And then, because of how complex the dynamics is, it's difficult to really help the victim until the victim accepts, have an insight into the situation, and know that the victim cannot change the abuser. And often than not, the best thing is for the victim to leave the relationship, to leave that abusive relationship, to go away from the abusive relationship. But taking that decision to leave or to go away is not easy. It's not easy. And even when they leave, sometimes because of cultural factors, environmental factors, because of pressure from other people, they go back to the relationship. As it is now, considering all I've heard and seen today with two Baba, it's bad. This case of domestic abuse is bad. Two Baba needs help. He really needs help. So if there are people, all those two of us family members, take this thing serious. His friends, associates, take this serious. If there's a way of reporting to the police authorities to intervene, if there's a way of persuading Two-Face to leave the relationship, because with this allegation that she breaks bottles and attacks Two-Face with bottles, it can only get worse. By the time usually there's this line, right? There's this red line where you cannot and should not put your hand to assault your partner. It should be that line. And if the assault now graduating, it's now getting to a higher level where the person uses instruments like broken bottles that can cause a lot of physical injury, that is already escalating. When you get to that place, there are two destinations. Either the victim runs away, or the victim is dragged, kicking, and is dragged away from the relationship. The victim has to leave her life, kicking and screaming, or voluntarily, or the victim lives in a stretcher. It's either the victim runs away, leaves the relationship, or the victim is dragged out of the relationship kicking and screaming, or the victim is carried away from the relationship in a lifeless state. The victim is unalived. That is those three things that can happen. As it appears now, it seems Two-Face will not voluntarily leave that relationship. So he has to be taken out kicking and screaming. Take him out kicking and screaming. If you don't take him out of this relationship kicking and screaming, next thing carried out unalived. Is that serious? Is that serious? So all those who have the means, all those who care for Two-Face, Baba, deploy all your resources and all the strategy to take Two-Face away from this relationship. It's not looking good, man. You've only been in a relationship not up to 1 year, and all of this is transpiring. And then you go online, you see pictures of lovely pictures as if all is well. And then one of the managers, as one of the managers said in the Daddy Freeze life, social media is not real life. So I just hope they do the right thing. Take Two-Face away from this very toxic and very violent and very troubling and disturbing relationship. Take him away. A victim can never change the abuser. Can never. It takes a third party to effect any change. That third party can be the authorities by way of the police, or it can be by way of a mediator, a counselor, a psychologist, or maybe a psychiatrist. It could be the person receiving certain punitive measures, like being imprisoned. It takes something else to change that abuser-victim dynamics. They're never the victim. And the funny thing is that oftentimes victims always have this notion that they can change the abuser, which is often not true. The victim cannot change the abuser, because once that relationship of abuser-victim has been established, it's about exerting power. The abuser feels the only way I can assert my influence is to assault the partner. Once the abuser starts gaining satisfaction, starts wielding power and influence over the victim, once the abuser starts doing that, the victim, it becomes a circle. Even when the abuser apologizes, it's a circle of violence. It keeps happening, again and again and again. And when you have something going in a circle, you have to break that circle. You have to take the victim away from that circle. You have to break it. Whatever is going on, the lady has a child, she can be given the support she needs so that the child can be taken care of. But it will be of no good if somebody ends up being unalived in this very terrible situation which we witness today. So please save Tubaba. Tubaba enter one chance and he needs to be rescued, even if it's done with him kicking and screaming. It's far better than being unalived.